So I want to talk about Charlie Kirk, but I want to talk about Charlie Kirk in a different way than most people are currently discussing the topic. But first off, before anything else, my love and prayers go out to the Kirk family because we know Charlie was horrifically assassinated, and I can only imagine the pain his family and friends are in. And I did hear a story and confirmed that it is true. So when the shot was fired, his youngest daughter, who was there with him about 5 feet away, was obviously absolutely terrified. And guess where she ran? She ran right towards the arms of her dad. She was caught before she reached him. But what I heard on the ground was she said, "Why can't I get to daddy? Why can't I get to daddy?" This is the one of the most horrific things I think I've ever heard. So again, prayers to the Kirk family. But now it does seem like they have caught the killer. They have caught the person who assassinated Charlie, but I won't be, talking much about that. I'm sure you can check out other news outlets for more details on the investigation and the motives and all things of that nature. But before I move on, for anyone who blamed Israel immediately following this assassination with absolutely zero evidence should absolutely apologize immediately, should be ashamed of their behavior, and should really take a close look about what sort of journalistic integrity that those people possess. But now off that, I really want to look at what killed Charlie Kirk, our culture as a whole, and how we move forward after this tragedy. So with that said, I'm going to share a video from Elika Lebon that clearly states what I think. So let me share that video.
Without knowing who killed Charlie Kirk, I can tell you what killed Charlie Kirk. And the reason I can tell you that is because it is part of a pattern. And that is a pattern that can no longer be ignored. I will remind you once again, the October 7th massacre, the killing of the healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, the indifference or celebration to the submarine deaths, the killing of 2 Americans because they were Zionists, the Molotov cocktail that killed somebody for saying bring them home, the Wall Street killings, and now the killing of Charlie Kirk. Do you know why we have to be very specific about identifying the root of that pattern? Because we cannot fix what we don't acknowledge. So let's acknowledge it. Yes, it is true that political violence is committed by both far-right extremists and far-left extremists. And it is true also that there is very little difference between those extremists when they meet at the fringe. The difference is not in them. The difference that I'm talking about is in us. When far-right neo-Nazis go out there and they target people, as a culture, as a society, that is not something that we celebrate. And the people who do that, we call them the lunatic fringe because that's exactly what they are. But what did everybody on that list have in common? What they had in common was so scary to even say out loud: approval. This is a mindset that we culturally nurtured. Okay, we nurtured it in universities, we nurtured it in academia, we nurtured it in media, we nurtured it in social media, we nurtured it in our influencers. And you know how we did that? By saying things like, I don't know if people who cause harm deserve safety. So now we're deciding who deserves safety, because that's very 1984. If our safety is conditional on whatever the culture decides. You know how else we did that? By saying things like, I don't know if oppressors have the right to live. We did that by saying things like, globalize the intifada. There is one mindset at the root of all of this, and that mindset is disposability. It is the disposability of human beings that I don't like. All of this created an incentive matrix where people could gain validation and status and even elevate to legend for killing people that were designated as oppressors. An incentive matrix for killing. That's the child that we raised. Culturally sanctioned killings. So you want to know why we have to address this specifically, this pattern specifically? Because these killings, they happened because we approved.
I really believe that video sums it up very well. She said it, way better than I could. That's why, I let her say it and not me. But with that said, the word empathy comes up a lot. So let's think about that word empathy, because every time people speak about these killings, such as the healthcare CEO Brian Thompson, and now, of course, Charlie Kirk, we always get the same response. Why should I have empathy for such and such a person? I've realized that people are asking the wrong question. The question is not why should you have empathy. The question is why you should have tolerance. Tolerance. Honestly, I can't believe that this has to be explained, but here we go, right? First off, empathy is not conditional. Everyone can feel empathy for those they agree with or relate to. True empathy, though, extends to all, even those we don't agree with. But the point stands, we cannot set the bar at empathy, because if we wait for everybody to have it, we're really all doomed, as we can clearly see. What safeguards democracy, though, is not empathy, but tolerance. This is the foundation of liberal democracies. It's what separates us from communism, authoritarianism, totalitarianism, and such. Tolerance means, at the very bare minimum, that we don't kill people we disagree with, dislike, or accuse of causing harm. Once the killing matrix is opened, like Elika mentioned, it's open to all. Under sort of the laws of street justice, everybody is fair game. So no, you're not being asked to raise your empathy. You're being asked to uphold tolerance, to protect your own safety. Because if we surrender to anarchy, we all go down with the ship. And so if we do not collectively stand up against the killing of one person for his speech, then we collectively surrender the right of all people to speak, right? I said this after October 7th, and it seems like nobody listened. Instead, the world celebrated Hamas as freedom fighters. I said it after Brian Thompson, and nobody listened. Instead, the world championed Luigi as some sort of hero of the oppressed. I said it 4 months ago when the two innocent Americans were shot and killed while the shooter screamed, "Free Palestine," and nobody listened. Instead, the world said it was inevitable. I said it last week when a school shooter's, manifesto was found inscribed with all the same rhetoric I just mentioned. Do you see the pattern? And at every turn, what's been very clear, and it's just very clear to the sober eyes, has been repeatedly ignored by the entire nation. That left-wing terrorism is being quietly nurtured in the American mind. If we do not stop it, we will all eventually surrender to it. If we allow left-wing extremism to saturate every facet of our society, from media to education to social media, spearheaded by these radicalized influencers, it will be the death of our tolerant societies. But above all else, it will be the death of us. Please, please think deeply about this. And thank you for your time and attention.